everyone, and welcome back to the Indigenous Projects and Events Speaker Series. This is a channel where we uplift Indigenous voices, stories, teachings, and leadership across Turtle Island. My name is Natasha Delany, and I'm the founder and executive director of Indigenous Projects and Events. Through our Speakers and Facilitators Bureau, we connect schools, organizations, conferences, communities with incredible Indigenous speakers, facilitators, elders, knowledge keepers, artists, and cultural educators. Today, I'm really honored to welcome Alyjah to the series. Alyjah is a two-spirit IndigiQueer storyteller, consultant, speaker, and registered social worker from Cree, Métis, and mixed European ancestry. They are a member of the Sturgeon Lake First Nation, and their work is grounded in storytelling, healing, cultural reconnection, Indigenous knowledge systems, and creating safer, more affirming spaces for 2S LGBTQIA plus communities, youth, service providers, and organizations. Alyjah brings a powerful combination of lived experience, academic knowledge, cultural grounding, and professional practice. And I'm excited for everyone to learn more about their work, their story, and the impact that they're creating. And I had to ask beforehand, the founder of Pisamoyampi
Kismayapi.
Consulting Inc. So really excited to kind of learn a little bit more about that work that you're doing. So welcome. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks, Natasha. Thanks for having me. I'm happy to be here.
So to begin, can you introduce a little bit about yourself in your own words and share where you come from, who you belong to, and the work that you do today? Kind of like what got you to doing the work that you're doing today.
Yeah, I can, beyond my written bio, my name is Pismoyapi Miskananapio, Rainbow Turtle Man in Cree,
Oh, I love that.
and I run Pismoyapi Storytelling Inc., Rainbow Storytelling. And
I knew I recognized that name. My daughter, my 18-year-old daughter, she is that. And from my understanding, it's like when the sun touches the water. So it's not like rainbow, but like when the sun touches the water and creates the rainbow. Is that right?
mm, yeah, and the direct translation is different in English to Cree. But the rainbow teachings I have are a lot about the cosmos and the galaxy and being able to reach people in all places and spaces and across Turtle Island and across spaces. And so it's a really meaningful. It was really meaningful for me to receive my name, and um, the longer I know that that's my name, because when I received it, I was more of a remembering than it was a new name. But I was like, oh yeah, that makes sense. Uh, the
Love that.
the more it fits. So the
Yeah.
rainbow teachings of really around the stars and space and reaching lots of different people of all sorts of backgrounds, and then the turtle um, teachings of the land. So learning from the sky and learning from the land at the same time.
I love
Yeah.
that so much.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit more about how you grew up.
I grew up in Calgary, Alberta, Mohkinstsis Treaty 7, and my dad was 60 Scoop and he was taken from Sturgeon Lake First Nation. And as an adult, I have connected with my family at Sturgeon and found all the other Nietzsches that look like me up in middle of Saskatchewan, northern Saskatchewan. And um, my mom is Métis and mixed Scottish, French from down south in Pincher Creek from the Delorme family.
Lauren.
And
Okay.
yeah, so Marie Rose Delorme
Oh
Smith
my
was
God,
my.
you're related to my husband,
Oh, of course we
the
are.
$50 bride.
Yeah, yeah, that's my great great grandmother.
That's his great great grandmother.
Oh wow, then we are definitely related. Yeah,
Oh,
my it's fun. My she was my great 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 grandmother. So my grandma has stories of her. Actually, remembers her and
wow.
has yes actual lived experience and stuff. So it's been really as an adult been powerful to connect to the Métis side of my family.
Yeah.
Some of that was lost in trying to survive,
Yeah.
and then on my dad's side also reconnecting to that Cree side. So
She's in the
I
Indigenous experience. Did you know that? And here in Edmonton?
sorry,
She's in the Indigenous experience here in Edmonton. Did you know that?
I did not know that. That's very cool.
Yeah, so if you
Yeah,
go to if you because you're in Calgary still based out of, right?
yes,
So if you
yeah,
go if you come to Edmonton and you go to the Fort Edmonton Park and you go into the Indigenous experience into the Métis section, there's a whole section on her.
right on, right on. Yeah. Well, I'll have to check that out. I recently, a few years ago, went down to Pincher Creek and to the museum down there. I can't remember the Klondike. Can't remember what the name of the museum is, but the Pincher Creek Museum. And there's some of her beading, and there's whole section for her as well. And I
Amazing.
got to go see what's left of the homestead that they have in down there, and so I grew up actually quite mixed Catholic and Indigenous. Like we prayed the rosary and smudged at the same time. So there was like a mix in certain ways, and we went to powwows and we went to church. And then there was other things that were not so acceptable. Like you couldn't go to a sweat lodge, but you could go to the powwow. So there was some confusion, but I was raised to be proud that we were Cree and that we were Métis. Um, Even though I wasn't really raised in with a lot of other Indigenous people, I remember my parents being proud of, especially my dad, like being proud of being Cree and being Indigenous. And so when I went to university, um, actually several years ago now, I started that connection journey, that reconnection journey in a deeper way, in a bigger way,
I've actually
which
heard that a lot, where a lot of reconnecting Indigenous people were able to reconnect through their university experience.
yeah, I find it kind of the irony is not lost on me that I went and got social work education. So I went to education and social work, these two institutions designed to erase who I am as an Indigenous two spirit person. And that is exactly where I discovered more of who I am and found um, the early stages of my of connecting to my indigeneity and finding out I'm two spirit and finding out I'm trans, and all of that came from social work education. So the irony or the it's not lost on me that those things that were supposed to take those things away actually was where I found them. So yeah.
Amazing. So you were raised by your both parents.
Yeah, so my mom and dad had 7 kids, and then when I was a teenager, my parents split up, and my mom remarried later on, and so there's 3 step siblings. So I'm the oldest of 10, both groups, the 7 and the 10. So who I am as a person, you could just blame it on my birth order. that's,
You said you're the
that's
oldest?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh my gosh.
And that there's a meme on the internet. It says gender can change, but eldest daughter syndrome is forever. And I feel like that just summarizes me, maybe as a person. So
I
yeah,
probably get along with my oldest because she's the oldest out of five. It's not 10. That's a lot. That's a full family. That's a full busy household.
yes, yes, it is. Yeah, it's fun though. Me and my family are actually quite close. Most of us are close anyway. Uh, and in 2023, actually, my third sibling, our third brother, he died by suicide and
Mm.
his addiction. Um, and I've often see tragedies like that can pull families apart and isolate them from one another. And because of ceremony and because of the reconnection work to culture and ceremony and the ways that I do, like that I was able to support my family and his sacred fire and having ceremony for his transition, I've seen our family actually become even more like we were already very close, but become even closer and more solid. And I'm I'm really grateful that we do have culture and ceremony to process that grief and that loss. And so yeah, my siblings are as there's a lot of us, but they're really my best friends. They're my humans. But then they also look at me like, well, you're the older one, so we're not going to tell you these things. But it's kind of funny going between that parentified sibling and then also just be a sibling. But
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Like
yeah,
it's hard to uh, differentiate for them, like the different, like is he a sibling? Is he parent? Or like like what? And I know my daughter struggles with that with her younger siblings because the youngest is 5, and then there's 8, and then 12. Right, the oldest are 2 12. So there's a huge age gap also.
hmm
And I'm not
yeah,
sure how that age gap works in your sibling.
13 years. There's 13 years between me and the youngest.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. So there's a whole different generation, which is very prominent, like with the internet and just how quickly
We still had
society moves.
these as a kid.
Yeah, right. Like I have a very different experience. I remember life before the internet,
Yeah,
whereas I have siblings that were born after the internet.
yeah,
So, and the way that they experience, like even the things in their classroom, like, those projectors with the plastic sheets that you wrote on with the dry erase marker, like that was my version of a smartboard.
yeah,
Whereas they had smart boards in every classroom from kindergarten. So it's kind of funny sometimes because there's 13 years is not that long, but based on the time in I think history with the internet and AI and society moving so quickly,
yeah,
there's big generation gaps at sometimes. So they
totally.
like to tell me that they go between uncle and mushum depending on apparently what I'm doing. So
Depending on if you're in ceremony, knowledge comes
yeah.
out or not.
Yeah, I guess so. Maybe that's when it comes up.
So you described your work as rooted in storytelling, healing, and connection. What does storytelling mean to you beyond just sharing a personal story, and how does that relate to your company?
Right. Storytelling for me is it's not yeah, it's beyond it goes beyond just like telling you a personal anecdote or a personal it's a method of passing on history. It's one of our I think it's our oldest and most profound and continues to be our most profound way of passing on knowledge and being in community with one another. It's also as much as it's our oldest and most profound tool to be in community and to continue on as human beings and pass on history, it's also can be one of our I think our deadliest weapon depending on how it's used. And so coming from a place of ethical storytelling and teaching folks how to do that, it really that language came from my experience in academia and research. And I was doing research in my undergrad and my graduate degree, and it's just storytelling. And I was watching all these researchers like gather stories and collect stories from people, really detached from the spirit of the story. And then I started learning. and reading and studying from other Indigenous scholars, and there was very, very few Two Spirit scholars when I went to university. So there was a lot of motivation to contribute to academia at the time as a Two Spirit person, because there wasn't a lot of us. There's more now, but there's still limited, right? And so to see research as just storytelling practice, and how do we do that ethically, and really understand that research is, like even Sean Wilson's work, like research is ceremony. And now as a social worker, and I teach and I work with lots of not just social workers, but lots of frontline professionals, youth workers, housing support workers, nurses, midwives, teachers, anybody who professional helpers, really. I
Mm-hmm.
work with them to understand that the role they're doing is, just because they might not be an official researcher like in academia, they are story collectors. Their job is to hold story and help their clients, the people they work with, make meaning of story. If you're a researcher, maybe it's making meaning of the stories around the systems. But we need to learn how to hold that. And I think being able to come from a spirit place, and not just not just a cognitive place, but actually coming from that spirit place, from that whole being. When we're able to do that, the power that the stories that we tell have so much more weight and depth. And I've seen that when we add spirit to story, things change, things shift. And so working with folks to build their own ethical storytelling practice, while first learning how to hold their own story. So that's a lot of what I do.
Yeah, that is very interesting, and it sounds like it can sometimes be like complicated. First of all, because of um, AI data sovereignty, and I mean, even when you were first talking about storytelling, I was just thinking about how like we don't have a Bible, right? And how a lot of our ancient stories are passed down. Um, but with that also comes like our knowledge holders hold so much great responsibility. And so to knowing and trusting as people learning too from these knowledge keepers, like what's coming from truth and what's coming from trauma. So there's that also, right? And so when we're sharing research or stories from that place of spirit, like there's quite a bit that's actually involved there. Like it's not so simple, and there's a point of like our own doing our own inner work to understand what truth feels like in our own bodies.
Mhm. Yeah. And that somatic work, being able to connect to our bodies and really understand. I, the more I connect to spirit, the more aware I am of my body. And the more aware I am of my body, the easier it is to connect to spirit. And the easier it is to be in the emotional and the heart place, and be in those vulnerable spaces without feeling unsafe, without feeling like I'm able to discern. And so then all of a sudden all of me comes together, because I like the spirit brings me to my body, or my body brings me to my spirit, which brings me to my heart. And that cognitive like allows me to discern like who is telling the truth and what is coming from trauma, and understanding that we're in community, but lots of us don't know how to be in community. We just know we have to be in community because the other way isn't working. And so allowing room for grace and allowing spaces for the people that are doing the work, the professional helpers, and the ones that I a lot of the work I say I do, healing for the healers, and bringing ceremony and inclusive spaces and teachings to the people that are doing the work, so that we continue to heal too. Like we don't just, okay, you're a knowledge keeper now, like you're all like,
And you graduated.
yeah, you're put together, oh, you're an elder, your trauma is all good. Like
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't work like that.
No, it's a
And
continuous
so,
journey. I don't think
yeah.
we've never fully, like, more is always revealed till, like, we're viewing our life, you know, after death and looking back and still stuff there.
Mhm. 100%, 100%. And so I'm very honored that the work I get to do is creating spaces for those people, for the people that are working with our communities. And um, even I look at like the Two Spirit community and the 2S LGBTQ community, and we have to stick together. Like, and or lateral, I look at lateral violence within our communities, and to have compassion and to have understanding of like, why would I expect any of us to know how to be in the circle when we've only experienced trauma of an exclusion from the circle?
Yeah.
Like, as we get invited in, it doesn't mean we know how to be here now because we've been excluded for so long. And so really creating spaces where people can be in like having healing spaces, but also allowing there to be space for conflict and the messy parts of life, right?
Yeah.
So yeah.
Okay, so from what I'm grasping so far, your ideal audience is, like you said, what was the word you used? People support,
Professional helpers.
professional helpers, like for your. So I'm gonna like ask a couple questions, and one of them is like, what kind of workshops, presentations, or keynotes do you find yourself doing the most? What do you offer? But first, in terms of like your, like, is that your ideal audience? And if not, please share more about it. And if it is your ideal audience, they're working with a lot of Indigenous people and a lot of different types of community members. And so, um, how does your work support that conversation and their work with who they're serving? So, is that your ideal audience? If not, who is it?
Right. Yes, the my ideal audience is the professional helpers. And I say professional helpers loosely because I know that we have lots of helpers that don't have Western credentials, and we have lots of community organizers and grassroots community building. And I include them as well, and other uh, folks that are in the circle that are leading spaces and leading, but there's no opportunity for them to be taken care of and to process some of the things that come up for them. And so working with, yeah, the people that are offering services, I work with Indigenous folks, and I don't only work with 2S LGBTQ folks. uh, I also work with non-Indigenous folks,
Is that corporate?
and
When you say non-Indigenous, is that like corporate organizational folks or?
yeah, I'll work with corporate businesses, non for profits. I work with a lot of staff teams and managers, leadership teams, exec teams, and really supporting our leaders, supporting our people doing the work to be well, so that they can do whatever work they're doing in a way that is useful for the client and who they serve, but is also safe and useful for the person that's delivering the services. And to understand that burnout is quite like the systems are what make us burnt out. Often we leave jobs not because we don't like our clients, but because of the systems. And I don't have the power to change every system, but I do want to support people in finding ways to stay safe and stay resourced while fully acknowledging the current reality that we have systems designed to burn us out and systems designed to hurt us and harm us. And so how can we be well in those spaces so that we can then also contribute to something different?
Okay, so we at Indigenous Projects and Events, we define speakers and facilitators differently. Although most do this, they do one and the other. So speaking is like keynote speaking, 1 to 1 hour. Um, main presentations for like conferences. And then there's the facilitations, which is more interactive, more sometimes can be 8 hours, um, to, at minimum 2 hours. And so for you, what does your workshops, your facilitation workshops look like? And your speaking, what do you typically speak on for keynotes? But I do know you mentioned like burnout, right? That's kind of a title that you facilitate and speak on.
Hmm. Yeah, I do a lot of speaking on those in the when I go into spaces, I'm invited into spaces as a keynote before facilitation. When I'm speaking, I introduce these ideas. I I use the stories and the teachings that I have from my Western education system, my professional experience, my lived experience, and also from the elders and the knowledge keepers and the teachers that I have learned from, and being able to braid all these different knowledge systems together and share with people ideas about how we show up to the work that we're doing and how to how to so one of a lot of my teachings are grounded in two spirit worldviews, and so people might hear that and they think it's for the like 2S LGBTQ community, or I'm only going to talk about LGBTQ people, which isn't actually accurate. My All of my work is grounded in two spirit worldviews, which are useful and helpful and meaningful for all people. And in Cree, the Tasio Winiawak, the in between people, we had our own teachings, we had our own laws to follow, we had our own ways of being. And I truly believe that the more we that two spirit resurgence, and the more we come back to the circle, the more we can contribute to the conversation of what can we imagine society, like how can we imagine something different. So sharing and teaching about that in between worldview as it applies to all people, not just to us LGBTQ folks. And I do a lot of work on bridging non-Indigenous people and groups and Indigenous groups. Um, so those are more of the presentations, keynotes, sort of thing,
Amazing.
and the facilitation takes that work and goes deeper. And I also co-facilitated and co-designed with my partner um, a, a retreat or program of carrying our medicine bundles. And so a lot of what I just mentioned, but on like a really practical application, like deep immersive experience that's very grounded in ceremony and land learning, that sort of thing.
I love that.
And yeah.
Is that an annual retreat that you do?
Yeah, so we launched it in the spring,
Yeah.
and it's as a 2-day intro, which was really well received and enjoyable. And so we're going to be offering the full 4-day retreat in the fall. However, organizations, businesses, staff teams can hire us to do that specific program over 4 days for their staff. So
Amazing.
then it's personalized to that group that works together already.
That's so, so good. Do you speak to youth about these topics also?
Yes, I love youth. I can speak to like grade 3, grade 4 students and
Yeah.
have fun, which I've done that, and
Okay.
gone into elementary and junior highs. It's a very different vibe than when I go talk to like exec teams,
Yeah.
but I feel
I
like
hope so.
yes, but I very much value fun, and I value experiential learning, and I value like embracing our humanness. And so meeting the audience. So if that's working with the elementary, junior high kids, high school kids, if that's working with youth, like the I think the federal definition right now is 16 to 29, like
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
working with all sorts of the youth, and really um a lot of the work I do with youth is more telling my personal stories and my personal experience of um, where what I've been through, the adversity I've overcome, and letting the young people ask questions about what is available to them, what is out there, what is one option. Like this, I'm one option, one like result,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and they have their own journey. But it was so impactful for me to see other people older than me doing things, having joy, having love, having a job, like having all these things. I needed to see them with my identities being a productive, successful person,
Yeah.
not just by like the ticking the box, like car, job, but there was joy, and there was loving relationships
Yeah.
and family
Possible.
connections. So
It's possible.
yeah,
Definitely.
it is. It is.
I feel like you're such a great example of that. So thank you so much for existing, um, and for leading the life that you do.
Hmm.
If people want to follow your journey, where can they find you?
They can find me at rainbowstorytelling.com, and they can find me on Instagram at someday superhero, or at Instagram again at Rainbow Storytelling Inc. And that's primarily where I show up online. There, there is some new things coming that we're working to purchase land to have inclusive, accessible ceremony space, and also have a solid location for all this land-based learning
Yeah, amazing.
around Calgary. So, um, yeah, there's lots of fun things happening. So
The retreat information, where can people find that specifically?
that is one of the things that is being launched and updated and added to the internet, is hopefully very soon.
On the
Uh,
website?
the Yeah, so you'll find it on the website, but it'll also be posted, and you can find more about the crowdfunding, and looking the funding campaign
Yeah,
that we're doing
great.
for the accessible space for land and
For
stuff.
land.
So all of that you can find on the Instagram as well.
Okay, amazing. Are you on LinkedIn?
I also am on LinkedIn, yes, and I
Okay,
can share those links with you.
perfect. And we'll have all of those links in the show notes. Thank you again so much for joining us today. If you want to book Alyjah, you can reach out to us at www.indigenousprojectevents.com to book him for speaking or facilitating to your school, to your organization, to your corporation. And we look forward to hearing from you. Please like, share, and follow as usual. And we will see you again soon. Hi, hi.
Yeah, thanks, Natasha. It was lovely to meet you.
It, I don't know what happened. It got,
It's
thankfully that happened right at the end. So I'm just going to stop.